Okay, well, I'm here and it doesn't look like anyone's joining me for the Brainery call, which is okay. I'm going to do a little bit of a review of maladaptive schemas. Now, in the Brainery, there is a section, or it's little ebooks, what's really stopping you, and there's two other books. Oh, just had a total blank on their name right now. But these are about maladaptive schemas. And I think it's really important for us to keep these in mind when we're working with people as they're moving into the new year. Because chances are, when we talk about raising prices or changing our packaging or our messaging or any of those things, these schemas may come into play. They may get triggered. They're known as schemas, maladaptive schemas, or you might know them as upper limits. And Gay Hendricks talks about them a little bit in The Big Leap. I'm going to read that book again and get back into that. But let's talk schemas. Let's talk upper limits. And I do encourage you to go and have a little read of the ebooks as well. But the upper limits, we have tension, fundamentally flawed, reliance, disloyalty and abandonment, and burden. So the kinds of trigger phrases you need to listen for are as follows. So tension. If I can't handle this happening here, it makes me uncomfortable, those people should change what they're doing. So there's something going on and that person's in a state of tension. Fundamentally flawed. So that's when somebody's like, oh, there's something wrong with me. I'm not good enough. I can't do it. Reliance. I can't be successful on my own. I need other people around me to do this. And that can show up as indecision, right? And checking in. What do you think? Disloyalty and abandonment. I must conform to the standard of my family and peer group. So wanting to do more than them, wanting to be bigger. If they all have traditional jobs and this person is wanting to go out and start a business, that can trigger that upper limit. And then we have burden. I don't want to be a burden on other people. So let's explore them a little bit more. You might be going, ooh, chances are you might have a couple of these. 2, 3, 4, various levels. If you've been doing a lot of coaching and stuff for a while, you may have already started really working through it. So I'm going to go backwards through the list now. Burden. I don't want to be a burden on anyone. So these are the people that really struggle to ask for help because they don't want to put anyone out. They're the kind of person that, they'll sit in the middle of the 3 airplane seats and the other people will take over the armrests and they'll sit and be really uncomfortable because they don't want to ask people to move. Or they'll sit in a plane and hang on because they don't want to tell people they have to move so they can get up and go to the bathroom. So if this sounds like you, with all of these, awareness is the first key, right? To be able to shift it. But if you have a client that's having trouble asking for help, when you're working with them, and especially moving into the new year, they're potentially going to be struggling in any of the actions that they need to take. You need to ask them the kinds of questions of like, okay, so where are you at? What are you really struggling with? What's the best thing I can do to help you right now? Those kind of questions are going to give the burden person permission to say, hey, actually, I'm really struggling with my sales funnel. It's not making sense. And I don't know. I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. So that's a burden person. That's the burden schema. Then we have disloyalty and abandonment. So I must conform to the standard of my family and my peer group. So this shows up with people who play small and might say they want growth, but they keep holding back. Now, this is actually a big schema for a lot of entrepreneurs because for most of us, we're breaking the family mold. We're breaking the family tradition. We're going out and building businesses where we have the chance to eclipse our families in the income that they're earning in their 9 to 5. We're creating this lifestyle. And they come up quite a bit against, especially when you're in startup. I lived this. When you're in startup and you're not making a lot of money, it's like, well, just go back and get a job. And it's the disloyalty and abandonment one is a tricky one because we're just like from back in the cave days, if we weren't a part of the tribe and we were out on our own, we died. We didn't live. We couldn't hunt on our own. We couldn't gather all the food on our own. We weren't safe on our own. So it's a huge biological genetic pull to stay within the safety of the family unit. So this one, if you've got clients of like who are like, yeah, my family tells me I should just go and get a job, teaching them about this and how biologically you're actually primed to sit with wherever your family is, and then creating tools and processes and systems to support them to keep breaking through that mold. That's how I would work with somebody who has the disloyalty and abandonment schema. Now, to be entrepreneurs, we also have to have a level of stubbornness. And even if we are feeling that pull, chances are a lot of us, we keep going anyway. But this is also reflected in people who don't talk about their business to their family at Christmas. They'll deflect, they won't go in. So whether they're going good, bad, or indifferent, it doesn't matter. They don't want to talk about their results because they don't fit in the family, and there's the family judgment that comes in on that. So that's disloyalty and abandonment. Then we have reliance. I can't be successful on my own. Everyone else knows better than me. So I think it's a stage a lot of us go through, especially when we're in startup and we're getting all the pieces together. And eventually a lot of us will work through that, and a lot of our clients will work through that, and they'll get confident in their systems and their processes, and they'll be less likely to ask for help. When it's an issue, because we all need help, it's like there's nothing wrong with it, but when it becomes an issue is when people freeze, they go into analysis paralysis, and then they don't take any action because they hide it behind, it's not quite ready yet, it's not perfect, I haven't finished, it's not. But really, they're waiting for someone to check in, ask, tell them, give them permission. So the reliance schema can actually show up as inaction. So it's quite important that when we're working with our clients, we start empowering them from day one to take control of their actions and make their own decisions. So when I'm working with people, I prefer to say, well, you could do this or this. Which one do you like the best? Which one sounds the best? How does that feel? Let's look at the outcomes of two different pathways and really empower the clients to make the decision. So they, in the end, they don't become reliant on me as the coach to make their decisions for them. So that's the reliance schema. Then we have a look at fundamentally flawed. Now, I've only met one person who claims they didn't have any of this schema. I think this person was full of this schema and in massive denial, but that's a story for another day. Fundamentally flawed, there's something wrong with me. You know, and I kind of embrace it now. Yeah, there probably is something wrong with me because I'm doing what a very, very small percentage of people are willing to do. I'm going out there and doing my own business. So if that's something that's wrong with me, I'm just going to embrace that, hold it close and go with it. But with this schema, and especially setting up for next year, and it's sort of similar, and it can show up a little bit as reliance as well, there's that self-doubt, that self-worth. Am I good enough? Can I do this? And the fundamentally flawed person needs a bit of nurturing to keep them going. So you want to set some really clear, simple, easy to follow steps, encourage them along the way. When they're saying there's something wrong with them, if you use if you use NLP or do belief change or timeline therapy or whatever modality you use, go back to where that first thing occurred, where they made that decision that there was something wrong with them, and help them start to clear it. So someone's like, oh my God, something wrong with me, and why can't I do this? It's like, well, why should you be able to do it? If you've never done it before, isn't that a huge expectation that you'll be able to get it perfect the first time? So use your language as well to do those reframes. And while you're listening to this, see where you sit in this and see how you feel. Now, the tension one is when people, something's happening, they've got this tension, they're not feeling good, so they expect everyone else to change. Now, the reason I did this one last is because it can also kick into other schemas. So I'm feeling tension and my family is causing that tension, and it triggers my disloyalty and abandonment schema, and it's like I can't do this because I have to support them, or I have to lie about it, or I have to do this. That is the actual trigger schema that triggers the other schema. With the reliance, you're sitting in this space of tension. This is the thing, it's set up, but is it right? I can't take the action. So they're either the reliance will kick in and they won't take the action, or it could kick in burden of like, I can't ask. So the tension and working with people around how their body reacts when they're working in their business, when they're about to launch something or hit enter on a post, and they're going, I just felt really stressed about it. Start working with people on that tension, because if you can start alleviating the physical tension and the anger and the frustration that can come from that, you can start easing off some of the other schemas as well. So that's a little touch base of schemas. People are going to be triggered this time of year, planning their business, talking about what's coming up, not talking about what's coming up, dealing with family around the Christmas dinner table, that kind of thing. So being aware of those schemas for your clients and for yourself, first step is awareness, right? Can actually help you moderate and mediate the outcomes that can happen from being triggered. I hope that makes sense. So it doesn't look like anyone's joining the Brainery call today. So I will save this and pop this in the group. I might do a little bonus call tomorrow, because I'm actually going to share this with the squad girls as well. And any questions from this, if it's showing up for you and you need some help through with it, or it's showing up in a client and you need some support around how to help them with their next steps, post in the group and ask. But if this is showing up for you and the burden is coming in, it's like I'd start going, well, what's happened to me in my life that's made me feel uncomfortable to ask questions? Was I mocked? Was I laughed at? It could be something in high school or primary school. You asked a question and everybody laughed, or you asked a question of your parent and then they told you off and you felt bad. The reliance thing, once again, something's happened where your decisions have been questioned. And the same with fundamentally flawed. Because there's nothing wrong with us. There's nothing wrong with us. We are the rebels. We are the change makers. We are the ones that are going to make a difference in the world. And if our family and people around us can't support that, it's only because it's different. So we need to make sure we're not letting that tension hit us and triggering our other schemas, because people don't have to adapt around us. If we meditate and breathe and ground ourselves, tension should cease to become an issue, generally. It's a bit of a generalization there. Anyway, I look forward to your questions and I will talk to you soon. Have a good one. And if I don't speak to you before Christmas, have a good one too. Bye.